Hi, this is Curious Mystics Podcast. Together we explore the mysteries of the spiritual world, sometimes boldly,
sometimes cautiously,
but always with open hearts
and curious minds.
See you soon. Hello and welcome back. It's Erica.
And Kim.
And it's Curious Mystics Podcast time.
So excited.
I know. We're actually together right now in studio together, like in person together, which we have not done in like
a year.
Probably. Yeah, so this is fun. This is exciting.
Yeah.
It's always fun because we have like energy together. Like you can feel it through the screen, but like to be in person, is different.
It's a different type of flow, I think, because of like the palpability of the energy.
And part of why we're together is it is our 1-year anniversary. So insane. That is our 1-year anniversary.
I can't.
Yeah.
So we're here a whole year later, still doing this. And we've done it consistently. Like, even though you and I took some breaks this summer, we never stopped putting stuff out.
Yeah.
So we've been like on a roll.
Yeah, seriously. And it's not because like, oh, we have to put something out. Like I wanted to put something out. Like, I wanted to record. I wanted to be like researching and getting this info out. So
we had so much like jumping from topic to topic, thinking about our own personal journeys, and then also bigger picture. What are some other things that we've been interested in? It's just never ending. So it makes it easy to always have more to record.
Yeah, I feel like last year wasn't even like real. Like the difference, at least for me in my life, from that time to this time is a huge difference.
In particular, I feel like you've mentioned that, I think when we did our 6-month too. So it's like you can see these leaps that are happening in your journey. I feel like there's definitely been a huge difference in my own personal journey. Not in the same way as you've had, but I do feel much more connected to my practice. And awesome. It's a good thing.
Yeah. So part of what we're going to do today is it is spooky season.
Yeah.
And this does come out Halloween, right?
The 28th, I think we're doing it.
Yeah. So right around Halloween. And so we thought it'd be fun to talk about like some of the spiritual or festival stuff and where it kind of came from. So we're going to talk about some fun stuff today.
It's a fun one for sure. What I'm going to cover today is all things Dia de los Muertos, which I think most people can recognize that holiday. It is a traditionally Mexican holiday, but I'm going to try and go about it in a way that adds a little bit more info. Maybe you learn something new that you didn't already know. On the very basis of it, at least from my own personal experience, what I knew about Dia de los Muertos is that it's a day that you can connect with, honor, celebrate loved ones that have passed on.
Yeah, that's kind of the base that I know. And there's like sugar skulls and then watching Coco.
Yes. I love that movie.
It is a good movie. It really is. So that shed a little bit more light on, but I don't really know much else other than that. So.
Yeah. So we're going to get into a little bit more info there. Because it is one of the more recognized like cultural holidays, there's been, at least what I've noticed, there's been a lot more talk about if it's something that everybody can practice or participate in, and whether or not there's like closed practices to it and stuff like that. And from everything that I've learned, either through research or talking with people, this is not like a strictly Mexican. If you're not Mexican, you can't do this.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes, which is kind of exciting because I do plan on participating in some ways. But So this holiday is celebrated over 2 days. It begins at midnight on the 31st. So when Halloween ends and November 1st begins, and then it concludes at midnight on November 2nd at the end of the day.
Okay.
So the 1st and the 2nd are the 2 official days of this holiday. And from midnight on the 31st and the following 24 hours until November 2nd, spirits of deceased children come through.
What day? So overnight?
So
okay,
from all day on November 1st, from
okay,
the time November 1st starts until the time November 1st ends.
Okay.
That's when children will come through. And then from midnight on the 2nd, when it starts till when it ends, on November 2nd, that's when deceased adults will come through.
Okay.
The tradition itself is thought to have begun somewhere around 3,000 years ago by the indigenous peoples of the region, and it definitely looked different then. But the festival was originally dedicated to the goddess, and please forgive me because I am about to butcher this name. The goddess's name is Mictecacewatl,
Okay.
I think. And she is considered the Lady of the Dead.
Okay.
She's said to watch over the bones of the dead and swallow the stars during the day.
I think that's awesome.
I think so too. I love her.
I want to swallow stars.
Yeah. So she brings the daylight on by swallowing the stars, and then she guards the bones of the dead. The understanding in this culture is that death is part of a cycle of life. So it is not the end officially, in that there is nothing else. Mm-hmm. But upon death, a person's soul would begin a journey to the land of the dead. And again, I apologize if I butcher this, but the land of the dead is pronounced Chikunamictlan, I believe.
It's very pretty.
Yes. And so there is a journey that happens. The journey includes 9 levels, and it could take years. There's no like set time limit, but it could take years before the soul reaches its final resting place.
That actually sounds similar to Egyptian.
Yes.
Death.
Yeah. I was thinking about that as I was doing some of this research, and I didn't know that about this specific tradition and culture. So it was interesting to learn about. There are some rituals that include offerings of food, water, tools that aid in the journey. And those rituals were traditionally held in August. And then ancient pagan and medieval Spanish traditions were then brought over when the Spanish came over.
Okay.
And those were brought to central Mexico and exposed to the already existing rituals that were done in August. And so that's where the Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, was created from there.
Okay, so they kind of combined it all.
Yes.
And moved it to that general...
To November, yeah.
Okay.
So it was originally in August, and then these people come over and it switches. They kind of combine some other rituals in there and switch it over to what we know now as November 1st and 2nd. So families would traditionally gather at night from the beginning, like at the 31st to the 2nd. They would gather at night at the burial sites of their loved ones in the cemeteries. They would light candles, place flowers, enjoy music, and celebrate to bring the deceased back and enjoy life with them.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. So the grave sites would be cleaned, decorated. Specific ofrendas might be set up there. We'll talk about ofrendas in a moment, but and celebrations at the cemeteries would go consistently from the start of the holiday to the end of the holiday. So people could come and go, and there would always be music playing, food being shared, people celebrating. Mm-hmm. And then traditionally families would share a meals that include the favorite foods of the people that they are honoring, who have passed.
I love that idea because we did the death and dying. We've researched a lot of this. Part of what I'm going to talk about is talking about ancestors and stuff. but most of that is like being afraid of meeting your ancestors or not ancestors, but the dead people, like meeting people that have passed on. It's like, you don't want to, that's like a problem. And this culture is like, nope, bring them on. We're having dinner together. So I like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, because I think in one of the traditions that we had talked about in that episode, we had talked about how like mirrors would be covered and, you don't want to try and disrupt the soul's journey in any way. And this isn't necessarily saying that you're disrupting the soul's journey, but you are making specific space for that person, that energy, that the soul of that person. So I do like that it kind of brings them back. So for the ofrendas themselves, ofrendas are little altars, basically. And you can set them up at a gravesite. You can set them up in your home. You can set them up in a common area. You can have multiple of them for the same person in different places. But they are constructed for remembering, honoring, and connecting with the deceased loved one. And then there are levels to the ofrenda. So it's not just the one, like tabletop or whatever altar space. And the different levels would represent the stages of life and death.
Okay.
So from what I've gathered, there are different types of ways of determining how many levels you're going to have. Some have just 2 levels, which would represent like the afterlife and earth.
Okay.
Some have 3 levels. It would be like heaven, earth, and the underworld.
Okay.
And some have 7 levels, and that would be for the 7 stages the souls have to cross to reach eternal rest.
So going back to Coco, they had that altar, like I guess like ofrenda you're saying. I took that to mean it was like which person, like grandma, great grandparents. Like I thought it was like that, like growing up, but I guess obviously not.
Yeah. So I don't know if, because I know that the movie was depicting the actual tradition. So I don't know if in some regions they might do it that way and do them by hierarchy, I would say. I don't know. But,
I mean, that was my interpretation. I don't think they actually go into it in the movie. So
yeah. But so there could be different ways of doing it, also depending on the region that you're from or what traditions are passed on. But these are just some of the ones that I have found. And then in the ofrendas, they usually incorporate colors of purple and orange, which are just very vibrant, lively colors, adding other colors as needed, but those might be the base colors that are used. Papel picado refers to specific paper decorations. And when I describe this, then you might recognize what I'm talking about. Okay. But there's specific paper decorations that you see around the ofrendas. So they're the ones that might look like they were like folded and cut like you would do a snow. Yes. And they would come in lots of colors, come with specific types of decorations on them, or you would make them in that way. But they also represent air.
Air, okay. With element air.
The element of air, yes. Because the ofrendas will have a representation of fire, usually in the form of candles. They have a representation of water, usually in cups of water. They have a representation of earth with food and flowers. And so the papel picado would represent air. Hey friends, we just wanted to take a moment to remind you all that you can interact with us on social media. We can be found at Curious Mystics Podcast on all platforms.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep showing up for you guys with new weekly episodes and content. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and stay curious. Yeah, so this sounds like similar to when we were talking about the ancestral altar, like what you should have on your ancestral altar.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it kind of goes across cultures.
Yeah. When we talked about that in that episode about venerating ancestors, we had talked about the different things that you could put out there, but we didn't necessarily specifically say, oh, this represents this element.
Right.
So when I was doing the research for this and I read that, I thought that it was interesting that it was also like double meaning, right? Because everything has another purpose. The candles aren't just to represent fire, they also represent light and, guiding light. So, and then special Mexican incense and other spices can also be placed on the ofrenda to represent purification. You would place the loved one's favorite food and drink on them, and then flowers, bread, and other things for celebration. And we're going to talk about specific flowers, specific food, things like that. But as far as flowers go, traditionally you can place, any flower, especially if the person that you're making the ofrenda for had a favorite flower. But marigolds are also incorporated and very significant. For all of the celebrations. They help with guiding the spirits back because they are bright in color and have a very strong smell.
Very true. Very true. Well, you know that you use marigolds in your garden.
Yeah.
Because it deters like bad things, like bugs and vermin, I think it is, right? Yeah. So that's interesting that you would use it to call them back.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So you would very purposefully use marigolds with your ofrenda. And then skulls are significant because of their connection to certain Aztec rituals. And they're decorated in colorful paint, obviously bring a lot of vibrancy and joy. So a thing about the skulls, because you had mentioned the sugar skulls, they have become very synonymous with Dia de los Muertos. You can see people like use face paint and paint their faces and things like that. The skulls themselves have always been significant. And then in the early 1900s, I can't remember the exact date, but in the early 1900s, there was a printer and cartoonist. His name was Jose Guadalupe Posada. And he used those skeletal figures in a cartoon drawing. And he really exaggerated them, putting fancy English dresses on them and things like that. His purpose was to protest the Mexican adoption of European fashions at the time.
Yeah, okay.
So he was doing it in jest, but this later became very well known. That specific cartoon became very well known, and it was known as La Catrina, which is one of the most famous, well-known sugar skulls that you can see. Like if you see it printed on a magazine or in a cartoon or anything, it's most likely that one.
Yeah, you usually see I was just thinking about it, like they're in the the dress, like the fancy dance dress. I'm thinking with like the rose. I'm like picturing it in my head, like with a rose. Yeah, and, I could see it, and the guys are wearing the suit.
Yep. Yeah. So originally that was made, that just came about as like a mocking the experience at the time.
Now, do you know whether I don't want to say purists because that sounds demeaning, but people that are getting back to really roots of the culture, are they okay with that depiction? Or is it something that okay, no, I don't think we should continue with that?
I don't know specifically. From everything that I've gathered, it kind of seems like at this point that's just been incorporated, at least in the very big mainstream, what you might see in places in Mexico, in the United States, anywhere else in the world that people might be celebrating. It kind of has just been accepted as part of, but I have no idea that this is a very varied custom that can happen based on, if you're in a rural part of a town versus if you're in a city.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. So the skull candies themselves, the candies were originally not candy. They were made of clay and used across indigenous cultures, just for remembering the dead. After colonization, the molds were continued to be used by churches, but instead of making them with clay, they made them with sugar. And so after drying, the molds were decorated, used with colorful icing, and then a piece of paper would be placed on the forehead and on the eyes. And if you wanted to honor somebody specific, you would write their name on that piece of paper.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
And those can be placed on the ofrenda. And then typically they're left there until the end of the holiday, at which point they can be consumed.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing kind of because behind you I have a little sugar skull. That's actually it's actually a plant.
A plant holder.
Yeah, a plant holder. My old medical assistant gave it.
Yeah.
Gave it to me. It originally had a plant in it.
Yeah.
But she gave it to me.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who doesn't have something
right
from this like Mexican culture, or specifically Dia de los Muertos, somewhere around. I have a little sugar skull ceramic on my table at home too, that my friend gave me after she had gone to Mexico.
That's so nice.
So yeah, they're like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like the food specifically, so you want to make food for part of a meal that this person would have enjoyed, but there is specific bread. It's called pan de muertos, so bread of the dead. And it's a sweet bread. It's baked to look like a pile of bones. So it's this like round loaf, and then there's almost like a cross, and the cross, each part of the cross looks like a bone. And that's representing the 4 paths of the universe, according to pre-Columbian mythology.
Okay.
So there's a lot of kind of historic mythology that's incorporated in this holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Pan de Muertos. Atole is a warm beverage, which is made with water, milk, corn flour, and vanilla extract, cinnamon, and unrefined Mexican cane sugar.
Interesting.
Yes.
The flour is throwing me.
Yeah. So I thought the same thing, the corn flour. I thought the same thing until I have never tried it, but I looked up like a picture, and it kind of looks like oatmeal.
Okay. It's like a porridge or something. Very
like liquidy, and they would just, heat it up, and, you can drink it. So I don't know. I kind of think of it like I think of it
almost sounds like horchata.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's also included. Tamales is also a big one. And then whatever other specific foods might be prepared based on the region that you've lived in, or anything else that might be important for the custom. And then as far as like the actual celebrations go, the ones that we know of today, originally there weren't many big celebrations that people knew of. The holiday was very much practiced in rural parts of Mexico, and then around the 1980s.
Okay.
So not that long ago.
I was gonna say, we just like flew through time.
Yeah. I just jumped a whole bunch of time.
Yeah.
The 1980s, the celebration started to spread to other areas of Mexico outside of rural areas. And when I thought about like, that didn't make sense to me. And I was like, what do you mean the 1980s? I couldn't think of a reason why that would have happened. So I started to look it up. UNESCO added Mexico's indigenous festivity dedicated to the dead into a list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity in like 2008. So from 1980 to 2008, there's this huge time where like, okay, maybe the celebrations are getting bigger, but still people aren't really knowing about it.
Okay.
But the parades didn't start till after that either.
After 2008 or 1980?
After 2008. So 1980,
okay,
rural areas are celebrating. And then it starts to expand.
Okay.
I can't think of why.
Did infrastructure change around that time? Like maybe there was more like people going in and out of rural areas. So therefore like easier to get in and out of rural areas. People were bringing stuff into the cities and stuff.
I mean,
maybe?
That makes sense, but
yeah.
I have no idea.
It just sounds crazy that up until 1980 and then 2008, you're saying like, I feel like I knew
about this. And then the
this.
world started. Yeah.
I mean, obviously been around since 1980, but like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a worldwide thing until like the 2000s. And then the James Bond movie Spectre,
Okay.
which I believe was in like 2015, 16, somewhere around there. It depicts a Dia de los Muertos parade.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a parade before that.
Is this like one of those Mandela effect things?
So the movie generated interest in Mexico City and in the practices, and so then Mexico City started to have a Dia de los Muertos parade.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess this happens, but it's like pop culture made the holiday.
Yeah.
Even though the holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so the thing that like sticks with me in all of this and that I try to make sense of is like this was a tradition and ritual that was happening long before anybody else was, anybody else in the world was part of it. And way back when it began, 3,000 years ago, it was happening in August. Then you have the integration of, or the colonization of parts of Mexico or Mexico, and the integration of pagan and Spanish traditions. So it evolves into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fast forward and you have an expansion of it into other areas. So now more people are being informed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fast forward and pop culture has its influence as well. So this is like an evolving tradition.
Yeah, and it seems like it's mostly kept its origins too.
Yeah.
Which oftentimes when pop culture gets involved and colonization gets involved, it gets bastardized. But it doesn't really sound like. No. I mean, it got bigger and a little bit more exciting, but it doesn't sound like the reason and or like kind of the traditions of honoring the dead have changed.
Yeah. So it like ups a level. I don't know what other way to say that, but like it kind of like bumps up into something else, morphs into like an evolved version of itself, but keeps its core throughout time.
Which is cool because that's not how it always happens.
Yeah.
In fact, it very rarely ever happens that way. So that's cool.
So the last piece that I just wanted to talk about really quickly was about like the levels and stages of eternal rest, because I thought that was important because it is part of like, even if you're making an ofrenda and you want to incorporate all of this. Aztec mythology believed there were 8 levels of trial that a soul needed to pass through before reaching the final level of rest. And I'm going to try this again. Mictlan, I believe, which is the underworld. Mictlan was overseen by the person that I had mentioned earlier. I do not want to butcher that again, and I apologize. And then the bones of the underworld were overseen by his wife, which is the Lady of the Dead that we had talked about. So the traditional 7-level ofrenda is meant to symbolize the connection between earth and the spirit world. And there might be some different interpretations as to why there's 7 levels or what each level represents. Some believe that they represent the 7 sins. Here, I'm going to give you one example. I found a really good website that provides a lot of information about this entire holiday. So that'll be linked in the notes and you can go to it, but that's where I drew this information from. Level 1 would be El Santo, or the saint. So it represents the saint that the family is devoted to. So every family might have a different saint that they're devoted to, or there might be, a handful of saints. Level 2 is Animas, which is the souls. And this is for the souls in purgatory, where the souls need to get permission to leave purgatory. Okay. Level 3 would be Purificación, which is where the salt would be placed on the ofrenda, and that's placed to purify the spirits, especially if the spirit is a child. Okay. You do not want to skip that piece. Level 4 would be Alma, which is soul, and that's where you would put pan de muerto, sort of like if you're putting the Eucharist. And the cycle of life and death happens or, passes through there. Level 5 is comida. That's where the food is. So the favorite foods of the deceased would go on this level. Level 6 is retratos. So that's the pictures of the departed. And then level 7 is cruz or cross. And so a cross made of seeds, fruits, flowers, candles, etc. would go on that level to represent faith and connection to the divine. So that's the ofrenda piece of it. The levels, the actual levels that a soul would pass through. Crossing a river with the aid of a dog is level 1. Without that dog, the person cannot cross. And the dog only helps those who are worthy.
Okay, so this is a specific dog that kind of stays in this area.
Yes.
That will help. Okay.
Yes, and your worthiness in life will determine whether or not the dog will help you cross.
Okay.
Level 2 would be running between 2 mountains that are constantly colliding. So you have to get past, but the mountains are constantly colliding with each other.
Sounds terrible.
Yep. None of these are fun.
No.
Level 3 is climbing a mountain that's covered in sharp flints.
Oh, geez.
So you have to get to the top of it, obviously, with as minimal injury as possible.
Right.
Level 4 is trekking through a desolate land where it always snows and has winds so fierce that they can injure a person.
Again, sounds terrible.
Yep. The next one is a space where the deceased float at the mercy of the winds until they're released into the next level.
So there's like floating around.
You're just there, and wherever the wind takes you.
Do they have like ways to get help with this?
So this is part of, I had mentioned earlier, like sometimes people will leave things like aids. If you are leaving something on an ofrenda for this person to get through, that could be, they can use that, whatever the tool is.
Like, I feel like we gotta help people.
Yeah, yes. The next one is a large area where the soul is incessantly fired at by arrows that have been lost on battlefields.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
And we know that millions of arrows have been lost on battlefields. We're getting close here.
Are we done?
Almost. A level where jaguars can rip open the chests of the deceased to eat their hearts. So you have to get away from the jaguar.
Oh my!
Don't let it near you.
Don't like it.
The next one is a level where the soul is liberated from the flesh, which is the nicest way that I could have phrased that.
Yeah.
While that is a very gruesome level, it is necessary.
Right.
Like it's in all the other levels, you're trying to escape some sort of terrible thing. In this level, that's what needs to happen in order for you to be free of everything that's come before.
Okay.
And then the final level is just crossing the 9 lagoons of eternal rest.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So it's arduous. It's very, dangerous, but.
So do they believe that like not everybody makes it through this? And if they don't, do you know what happens to them?
I don't know. I'm not sure if there is a belief that people don't make it through. But that's why this can take years too, because it's not as simple as like, hey, you just have to pass this level and you're done. This level could be the hardest level thing you've ever done. And if you don't have aids, if you don't have people that are helping you, if you don't have people that are, here in this earth giving you offerings.
Yeah, you need help. I get that. Yeah. Do you know what came to mind? And I don't even know if this makes sense, but was the Neverending Story. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
Like they have to go, like he's constantly going through different levels.
I wonder what that, Like, I wonder what the base of that was, like the idea, where that came from for them, for the movie. So it can be very challenging because there are different ideas and different like specific rituals or thought processes or religions that kind of feed into this. those levels might look different,
Mm-hmm.
you know, based on someone's specific history or ancestry or cultural
Mm-hmm.
background. But that's just some examples of what those levels could entail. So there's a lot that kind of goes into this holiday. It's not as simple
Right.
as just, hey, let's have a party for the people who have passed on.
Right. Like you're literally trying to get them through the underworld.
Yeah. Yeah. And ideally, right, like this, you continue to honor them year after year, and they get to the other side, and you can then celebrate with them in ease,
Mm-hmm.
which would be a much better thing. And while the actual holiday is November 1st and November 2nd from midnight to midnight, so that whole 48 hours, there are also other days that people begin celebrations or do other types of celebrations. So honoring lost pets, those who have been victim to femicide, and some of the other ones. So October 27th is specifically dedicated to pets.
Okay.
October 28th focuses on violent deaths. October 29th is for remembering those who have drowned or had a death involving water. The 30th to the 31st is set aside for those who have been overlooked. The first is for children, the second is for all adults, and the third is Dia de las Muertas, and that's for victims of femicide specifically.
I like that. I mean, I don't like that you have to have all those different days, but I like that there's like specific.
Yeah. There's a little bit of, I think there's a little bit of complexity and nuance in it, just because you could lump everybody all in one, but there are people who don't get honored, that get overlooked. Right. And so you may not be building a specific ofrenda for them. So having a day to just kind of be mindful of that. Or somebody who had a very violent death, somebody who drowned, or, you know, your pets and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of things to be celebrated, to be honored, and a lot of ritual that goes into it.
Yeah, that's, like I said at the beginning, I didn't know much, so that's really cool that it's that like in depth and that interesting, and the fact that it was only been like since 1980 that really anybody other than rural Mexico knew about it.
Yeah,
which I find fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's crazy, because I feel like, how could people not? But, and then I think about where we are today and how much like social media plays a role in like information and people learning things, and I'm sure that it'll continue to make things look different. But I do plan on participating this year. I have started to gather my items to make my ofrenda.
Awesome.
Ofrendas. I have a couple that I'm gonna make. So yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah, and so what I'm doing is like I'm gonna do one for my pets, my dogs that have passed on, and I'm gonna do one for family. But I'm gonna make the ofrenda itself in my living room for all of the family to experience. But I do also plan on having like a private one for myself. So but I'm looking forward to it. And
you'll have to let us know how, like, I don't know, how it felt and like what you did. So it'll be interesting.
This was one of those like one of those topics that I very much enjoyed researching and was able to kind of dive a little bit deeper in. And I know that we try to like cover basics, which I think I did here, but I also think that a lot of people know a lot of basics when it comes to something like this. So hopefully y'all learned something a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely did. So I'm going to be talking about, there's three things that I'm going to be talking about, but one specifically I'm talking Samhain.
Yeah.
Is actually the whole thing sounds very similar to what you were talking about, and I found it's going to be interesting.
Oh,
so
cool.
And just tell me what you think.
Yeah.
So Samhain, spelled, I said it wrong in the last episode that we did. I said Samhain because that's what it looks like, but it's Celtic, so nothing looks like how it sounds. So it's Samhain. And it started in ancient Celtic people in Ireland about 2,500 years ago.
Oh.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
They think that maybe like pre that there was something to like the effect, but not like really, I didn't have like a name, or I guess so. And it was celebrated as like kind of the halfway point between summer and winter. And like the next day is the Celtic New Year.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Me neither. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And it is, I believe that it is October 31st. Okay. Yeah, it's October 31st. And it's considered the most important of the 4 celebrations of the year that the Celtic people typically celebrate. So
that's interesting.
And I think we're gonna figure, we'll see that when we get into it a little bit more. And then during this time, as we know, the veil between the worlds is thinner, allowing spirits to pass through.
Yes.
One of the big places and that plays a huge part of this whole thing, but one of the biggest places that this is known to kind of be I don't know how to explain it, the most famous place that it's celebrated or started was, again, it's Kalakta.
Yep.
It's spelled, let me spell it to you, because Tlachttga. And it's an ancient mound in Ireland that faces the sun during the Samhain and is where the fire festival was held, which is a big part of the festivities of Samhain.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And these were called the winter fires. And they used bones of the animals that they slaughtered earlier in the year to make these fires. And they called them bone fires, hence the name bonfires.
Ding, ding, ding.
Right? You know, it's interesting. The more that I learn about Celtic culture, the more how much, at least in American words, we use. And like a lot of the culture we use from the Celtic culture. So I find that interesting.
Yeah.
And it was thought that after this time, the sun god was going into the underworld, and the god of the dead came up to the world bringing his buddies with him.
Okay.
So like this time was kind of like in this like liminal space where you got the sun god's kind of going down, and the god of the underworld was coming up, so kind of in the middle. And his buddies were ghost fairies and other very unsavory folks. And because it's in the middle, they believed that time stood still that night. Oh. And it allowed, I got goosebumps thinking about that.
I know. That's a little scary.
So it basically allows these spirits and ghosts to run amok. So you don't want to be out. So you had to put the home fires out, because otherwise it would attract these spirits. And it could only be relit the next day after the winter fire was relit, to let everybody know all was clear.
Oh my goodness. Wait, does that mean that people were just like having to be cold?
Yeah. I mean, it was just overnight, but so they were told to stay inside.
Yep.
Stay away from crossroads and property lines, because spirits often hung out in those places.
Naturally.
And if you did have to go out, people wore costumes so they would blend in with the spirits.
So it was meant to like trick them. Okay.
And they would give food offerings to them. And so this kind of like where we see that Halloween costumes came from.
Yep.
Because likely when the Irish immigrants came over, they brought these traditions with them.
Right.
So, not that interesting.
Yeah.
So the next day, with the fires lit, you could invite your ancestors in and honor them. And you would leave food out for them. And you have a big feast. But it was advised to go to bed early so you didn't actually encounter them.
Oh. Okay.
And if you didn't leave out the food that they liked, or enough of it, or any of it, they would get mad and potentially hex you.
Yikes.
and made me think that that's possibly where like trick or treat came from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, give me food or I'm gonna hex you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense how these things have translated over into what we celebrate as Halloween.
Mhm.
I think that's so interesting though, where it's like this push and pull between like, hey, we know that you're there, but we're
Please
not
don't come talk to me.
Yeah, we don't want to be disturbed, and we're not going to disturb you, but we'll leave these things out for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're like honoring you, but don't come too close.
Yes. Like, stay dead.
Yeah, please stay dead. Yeah. And also, I mean, because then you got these like fairies in Celtic culture are bad news.
True.
They're
True,
not
yeah.
good because they could like drag kids off into the after underworld and like
Yeah.
So you don't want to mess around with any of that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
so that and they also often practiced divination during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like Samhain in a nutshell, which I found fascinating.
Yeah.
I found this huge article written. It went so in depth about like the area in general, like the Plakta and the mounds and like that kind of area in general, and the history of that area. So it was pretty cool.
Nice.
So tying into that, and also kind of tying into our Day of the Dead scenario, we have Hallowtide.
Okay.
And Hallowtide is the triduum of All Hallows Eve, which is October 31st, which was shortened to Halloween. All Saints Day, which is November 1st. And All Souls Day, which is November 2nd.
Okay.
And so Hallows, in this meaning, it means holy.
Okay.
Because, how do they use it in Harry Potter? They use like Hallows means something else. I don't know. But so references to the feasts of All Saints are found as far back as the 4th century.
Oh.
Yeah. And the origins supposedly come from when the Catholic Church would celebrate different saints on different dates in the year, and they're called feast days. And usually there's at least 1 or 2 feast days or more per month for different saints. And as time went on, that calendar was getting fuller and fuller, and there's more saints because the church is growing. So they decided that they needed to make an All Saints Day so they could just kind of encompass all the saints, just in case they miss one.
Right.
And that was originally May 13th.
Oh.
The date for the new feast fell near those of the ancient Roman festival of Lemuria. And this festival was an elaborate 3-day ritual to honor the spirits. And on the final night, the head of the household went out barefoot and holding his hand in the shape of the evil eye on his forehead, washed his hands and threw black beans over his shoulder without looking back because the ghosts were like following him. Okay. And while he did this, he had to say 9 times, "With these I redeem myself and mine." So after that, he would make a really loud noise to drive away the spirits. And then he dismiss the ghosts with the phrase, "Manus exit paterni," leave ghosts of my fathers. Oh. He also had to repeat that 9 times.
Oh my goodness. It's like really in depth.
It is. So, why did they throw beans?
Yeah, why beans?
Supposedly, in vampire folklore, it says that, quote unquote, throwing beans or rice on the ground will end a vampire's pursuit, since they must stop to collect and count them, all for reasons never adequately explained.
Okay.
Unquote.
I have seen, this is so funny, but I have seen like that played out in like TV shows.
Oh, really?
Where they'll like throw like salt or rice, and like the ferry will have to stop and count.
That I have seen, yeah.
So that must come from this idea,
yeah,
this mythology.
For whatever reason, vampires have to stop to pick up the beans.
Okay. So you better be throwing a lot of beans.
Mm-hmm.
Because you also then have to repeat these things 9 times, both these phrases, and then...
Right, and be loud, and...
Yeah, like all these steps. You better...
better just keep throwing their beans.
I know, jeez.
Yeah, because you don't want these ghosties coming at you.
Yeah.
So the Feast of All Saints ended up getting moved to November 1st in the 8th century by Gregory III. I think Pope Gregory III. Or maybe it was King Gregory III. I'm not sure. To coincide with the consecration of the new chapel of St. Peter's, dedicated to all the saints. So, All Souls... Go ahead, you had a question?
I was just trying to make sure that I was following. So there was originally a different feast day for different saints, and then they condensed it into one day, and then they moved that day from May to November.
So they still do the different feast days of certain saints.
Okay.
They did this to make sure that they didn't end up missing somebody.
Okay.
Because there were so many, and usually the feast days are usually for more like known saints, I guess.
Okay. So, yeah. Cool.
And then All Souls Day on November 2nd was added to recognize and pray for the souls that were not quite sure where they were going and end up in purgatory.
Oh.
Yeah. So in the Catholic religion, it's the belief is that there's souls that can only get out of purgatory by being prayed for them. Mm-hmm. And those souls are usually people who, like babies that weren't baptized and died before they didn't get baptized, or I guess maybe somebody that didn't know that they died, or for whatever reason you end up in purgatory and the only way you get out is to get prayed for. So this was made to make sure that you would get to pray for these people. And the festivals were usually celebrated with fires and prayers for the dead. And in England, soul cakes were given to the poor and then sometimes to the whole town as alms for the souls. And oftentimes people went like house to house to deliver them, which again may be where the idea of trick-or-treating came from. So interesting. Yeah. There is some speculation that the feast days were moved to the same time as Samhain. So like whenever Christianity was trying to take over paganism, they often would kind of put holidays at the same time as these other festivals to kind of like transition them a little bit easier, or put a Christian name on the pagan ritual so that it was like more acceptable. But other people say no, it was already happening and it just happened that way. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's really telling, and this is kind of the same idea that we've talked about with like the solstices and equinoxes and how it's celebrated all over the world, how those can be celebrated all over the world. I think it's really telling that you can have such different cultures in such different places doing things that are somewhat similar. Like the traditions themselves might be different. The rituals and ceremonies might be different. The meaning to the people might be a little bit different, or the aspects of it that they, highlight might be a little bit different. But to have people all over the world understanding that like the passing of someone can be so significant and meaningful for life, for death, for spirituality, and that these celebrations have come up all around the same time without any sort of knowledge that anybody on the other side of the world is also doing it.
Right. Well, one thing I did, I've been researching like the Celtic tribes and like Celtic culture, in ancient Celtic culture, and what was considered Celts range all the way from like Northern Europe all the way through Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and that area where you normally would think about it, all the way into like Germany, down into Spain, like into the parts of the Eastern European. So they like ranged this whole area at one time.
Yeah.
And then they kind of got pushed back and then came back in and they got pushed back and then, you know, this whole thing. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't realize that, and they still were referred to as Celtic during those times that this was happening. So I didn't realize, I just assumed, like, I just thought it was Celtic culture was just like British Isles.
Yeah.
No, apparently it was like these tribes spanned for like years and years and years and whole areas of Europe. So.
Yeah, so they can have a much bigger impact anyway. Cool.
Yeah. So that is our interesting look into kind of the lore of spooky season, I guess, of Halloween.
Yeah.
So I had fun researching that. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to learn those things. I think the biggest thing is like, or the biggest thing that I'm taking away, in addition to like the honoring of those souls, is the food.
Yeah.
Food's a big deal.
Yeah, food is a big deal. Yeah, definitely. And ghosties. Don't let the ghosties get you. Or invite the ghosties. It's up to you.
I guess.
Depending on which culture you're in.
I know. See what feels right.
If you're afraid of them, don't let them in. If you like want them to hang out, go let them hang out with you.
I mean, I think in any scenario, you want to make sure you have your protections in place. That's it.
But I'm gonna go with that for sure. All right, well,
cool.
I hope you liked our 1-year anniversary. And episode.
Yes. So as always, stay
curious.